All right. Welcome. This is not going to be a fun stream, but it's something I'm interested in going over. We're going to look at all the evidence from the Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt case as to why they were found guilty and convicted on, I believe they're found guilty on 6 counts of aggravated child abuse under Utah law, 4 of which they pled guilty to. And if you are unaware of Ruby Franke or this case at all, I don't know how, but basically her and her family had a family YouTube together. Family YouTube page called 8 Passengers. Her husband, and her 6 kids. Basically just documenting their life. And they had amassed, as of June 2020, around 2.5 million subscribers and had over 1 billion views. She posted 5 days a week at 6 a.m. every day. And for the past couple years, there have been people sounding the alarm that something didn't seem quite right. Frankly, the stuff that she felt comfortable putting on her YouTube was disturbing, alluding to not feeding her children as punishment, taking away their bedrooms or their beds and making them sleep on a beanbag chair, for just doing a prank on one of their brothers. So yeah, there was a lot of people who were kind of sounding the alarm on this, and they were arrested in August 30th, 2023. And since then, I think we have seen that what's been uncovered was much worse than I think that anyone would have imagined. I think they all knew that there was something bad going on beneath all this. But just from what I've seen so far, it is heartbreaking. It is pure evil. And I think it is worth paying attention to. So again, this will not be a fun stream, and I'm sure that some of this will be triggering, so just be forewarned. Alright, so the YouTube channel Law and Crime Network has compiled all this body cam footage, prison phone calls, security footage, photos, etc. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes long. We're going to be looking at all of it. Go and view this and some other videos that they posted on the case at Law and Crime Network. Give them a subscribe if you like their content. Watch the videos on their channel. But let's go ahead and get started here.
You want to put on one of our vehicles?
Yeah, you want to... Okay, just place your hand behind your back for me. Perfect. And then, right now, I can put a finger in each of these, okay? And I'm just going to double up this so they don't tighten up on you on the way out there. Where's your car?
It's out there.
Right now in this initial arrest, she just seems very dissociated from
everything. You don't have anything on you that I should know about, correct? Any weapons, anything that we're going to find. Before you put you in a police vehicle, we need to search your person to make sure you don't have anything on you. Is there anything you have on you? Okay, I'm going to search you before we put you in his car. That's just protocol, so I'm just going to have you step right over here And then just widen your legs, widen your stance. Yep, perfect. Are you wearing a bra? Okay, I'm just gonna go like this through and make sure you don't have anything. You said you're not wearing a bra? Okay. Is that just like a tank top under here? Okay. Just gonna lift up your hair. Okay. Alright, you're just gonna walk with Officer Hines.
You'll go out this way.
And then, hey, Hines.
You want me this way or that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you wanna go down the down.
Body cam footage, yes. There's body cam footage, photos, security cam footage, recordings of prison phone calls, etc. A lot of stuff.
Downstairs into the interview room downstairs.
Sounds good.
You going down or I'm going down? You're going down.
I appreciate it. I was gonna ask you to come turn my car off, but I'm leaving now, so we're good. Yeah. It's still on. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll come help you.
Okay. Hey, hold on. Well.
I would hate to take this opportunity.
Oh, if you want to ask,
I got you.
just so we can tell them who we're taking down there.
I do have a hard time watching this body cam footage sometimes because anytime their phone goes off, it is so fucking loud and it triggers the fuck out of me.
Ruby? Okay. We'll go this way.
She's very calm throughout this whole interaction. I don't know if she feels like she's just like not worried and gonna get off, or if she is just totally dissociating from what's going on.
Might be. Sorry. Yeah, Captain.
I'm not going, Jessica. You take her?
She told me transfer it down, and then she'll meet me
Okay,
here.
yeah. Take me in your car, then
Okay.
I'll
Appreciate it. Ruby, what's your last name? Just so I could tell them I'm transferring. Okay. Control traffic 13.
Not talking at all, which, to be fair, that's what you need to do if you ever get arrested. Don't speak without a lawyer.
I'll be transferring Ruby to number 12. I'll give you my beginning here in a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't help her in the end. She got charged, but...
I'll come back and grab it after they get back here. You guys got it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, brown handwritten. I thought it was pink. Alright. Thanks, sir. Bye. Good. Come on up, please. We'll go that way towards that door. What's that? Downstairs in the interview room. So I could have gone that way, but appreciate you opening the door. We'll take these stairs right here. Alright. And we'll go left hand side. This next one right here. Right here. And we'll go ahead and I'll give her those cuffs right here. Go up to down and remove them. This way, yeah. Okay, go ahead and have a seat. Light on. Okay, she'll be here shortly, okay?
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station.
For the first time, we're hearing from Ruby Franke's son himself, the emaciated 12-year-old boy who broke free from duct tape shackles and ran for help. His escape exposed the shocking abuse at the hands of his mother, Ruby Franke,
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
and her friend, disgraced psychiatrist Jody Hildebrandt.
If you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy for what's going on.
And the details of the boy's abuse proved to be more horrific than we could have ever imagined.
Medical got there, they started cutting the stuff off him, and then you can see like the dark around his ankles, and it you could smell it with the flesh.
By now, you know the story of Ruby Franke, the once famed YouTube mom who turned convicted child abuser. Franke rose to fame documenting the lives of her children on the YouTube channel 8 Passengers that at one point had more than 2 million followers. Critics pointed out Franke's alarming parenting tactics far before her arrest.
That's just sick. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few. I mean, I know the facts of what happened, and I've seen a few clips of this new evidence that's all come out, and even that just kind of brought me to tears. I fully expect to cry at some point in this. It's just fucking disgusting.
And my kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
But it was August.
The fact that she felt comfortable like posting this on her YouTube channel, I think speaks to the fact that like how much she believed that she was in the right, that she like I don't know, like the mix between, because as crazy as Mormonism is, it's not this psychotic most of the time. There's just more going on here that would lead somebody to do shit like this. But the fact that she felt comfortable broadcasting it to 2.5 million people on her YouTube channel just shows how delusional that she was.
August 30th, 2023, when things really changed for Franke.
Place your hands on your back for me. Perfect. And then
That's when this harrowing 911 call was made.
This kid has obviously been...
The way this guy went from like grumpy old man asking what the kid wanted at his front door to him and his wife taking care of the boy was really sweet.
I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
We've played the call for you dozens of times here on Law and Crime Network, but this is the first time we're actually seeing what led up to it.
She was surrounded by enablers. Yeah, a lot of her defense was that Jody was kind of the one that I guess that she felt tricked by Jody or like manipulated by her, but that may be true to some degree. I think Jody was very sick in her own right, and the things that she did, I think, to her niece maybe was also really disgusting. And I think Jody was kind of the mastermind behind the ideology, basically thinking that her children, or Ruby thinking that her children had demons inside them, and that's why she had to do what she did to them. For sure, like she is fully culpable and guilty of what she did, and I think that the desire to I think like the lack of love for her children or care for her children and the desire to punish them in like severe ways was already there, and I think that Jody probably escalated that in some ways, but yeah, it in no way takes any sort of accountability away from her.
This week, Washington County, Utah finally released dozens of documents, photos, audio recordings, and videos, all relating to the Franke case, and we're getting a first-hand look at what happened. We know that on August 30th of last year, the Franke's son, who we are identifying as RF, broke free from Jody Hildebrandt's Ivins, Utah home and ran for help. Here's a video of him approaching a neighbor's home and ringing the bell. You can see RF ring the bell and wait at the front door for someone to answer. As he stands there, RF is emaciated with extremely small legs. You can see the duct tape around his ankles. He's wearing a ragged long-sleeve shirt that has blood on the arm and socks without shoes. When RF knocks on the door, it's soft. Almost as if he's too weak to make a loud bang.
I feel like too that they were probably always just like conditioned to make themselves small and quiet and agreeable at all times.
After about 2 minutes waiting at this home, RF leaves and heads to another neighbor's home. The next neighbor RF visits makes the infamous 911 call, and the entire thing is caught on Ring camera video. Here, you can see the boy slowly approach the door before pressing the intercom. At first, it seems like no one will answer the door as there's an automated response.
Answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
So RF starts to walk off before we hear what sounds like a door opening.
Growing up like that, you didn't know who's safe. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just can't imagine how fucked in the head that would make you.
Yes.
RF turns around and faces the neighbor, asking for what he calls some favors.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station.
The man asks the boy what's going on, and he replies, it's personal business.
Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
The neighbor asks RF how he got over there before the video cuts out.
What's your name? How'd you get here?
We now know RF broke free from duct tape shackles after months of abuse. He and his younger sister were found in such poor condition that they needed to be hospitalized after their rescue. Next, we see video of the neighbor making the infamous 911 call that up until now we only had heard audio for. As you can see, RF is within earshot of the call.
222-1512. I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house and he's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry and he's thirsty.
Need someone immediately.
Another video shows the man still on the line with 911.
But he has duct tape around
Big
his ankle.
injuries, there's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also has...
Oh, and he has it around his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been...
Needs immediate attention.
The 911 recording is famous for the neighbor tearing up during the call as he explains the boy's condition. We now know that as one neighbor was saying all this, the other was comforting RF.
Oh, he was such a good kid.
This kid is obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Oh, man.
He sat up with very stocking feet, so he escaped.
We need the police here now.
They're on their way.
I just, like being treated like this and being hungry all the time would just make a kid so irritable and like seemingly to, I guess, Ruby's eyes, misbehaving. And so like it would just compound that she just thinks that they are like becoming more and more demonic when it's all her.
You don't have any allergies to that? Okay.
I hear cars are not coming in the driveway.
The neighbors wave for the ambulance to come closer as they tell RF he's going to be checked out.
No, they're just not getting out of the truck. Okay. Okay, thank you. Bye. These folks are going to examine you.
Separate body camera video shows one of the first responders begin to cry after seeing RF's wounds.
I am. So I got my shades on.
Got pictures. I'll take more. If you want me to send them to you.
Soon, RF is loaded into the back of an ambulance. Body camera video shows a sergeant speak with the boy, saying he needs a few pictures of the wounds.
Hey, I'm Sergeant Tolber. I'm going to just get a few pictures. Are you okay with that?
Washington County released photos of the boy's wounds and his sister's, but we've decided not to show them because they're too gruesome. Additional video of RF being treated has been partially redacted, but you can't...
I fully believe if something hadn't happened, if they hadn't got caught, that at least one of them would have died at some point.
And hear a first responder remind the boy he's not in trouble.
How did you get the ropes on you? Who did them? You're not in trouble with me, okay? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Our main focus right now is you, okay? Who put the ropes on you? Supposed to help you what?
An officer later describes RF's wounds, saying he could smell the flesh.
First observed the kid. He was sitting on the chair, had the duct tape and plastic around his ankles. And then he had a long sleeve shirt on. And then we pulled his sleeves up and he had duct tape and clear plastic underneath the sleeves. on both wrists. And then medical got there. They started cutting the stuff off him, and then you can see like the dark around his ankles, and it you could smell it with the flesh. It's underneath the tape. As soon as they took it off, you can, even outside, you can smell. You can smell the flesh. And then the transport, or put him in the ambulance. I went in there. They started cutting more off of it. You can see the wounds on the back of his ankles, around the front of his ankles, and then on his wrists as well. And the wounds around his ankles were dark and like, I don't know, like wet looking, I guess, from the moisture underneath it.
I bet they look like bed sores. This is probably just, the skin is just dying.
Yeah, he said he was tied on the ground with a rope. That's where the wounds came from. Yeah, with ropes on all four of his extremities. And that's where the wounds came from. And then they put cayenne pepper mixed with honey, he said, on the wounds, and then covered that with the plastic saran wrap and then the duct tape over the wounds. Yeah. And then that's what we cut off, was that. Yeah, they dressed the wounds. Some of the wounds when I was in there.
Yeah, it's just so much more worse than I could have imagined when she was initially arrested.
When they went to go peel it, they thought it was some of the dressing. It was actually his skin that was.
Jody, I need you to step out.
I have my.
All right, so this is Jody Hildebrandt. She is, I feel like for a while, she used to be a psychologist, and maybe now that, or for a while, maybe she had lost her license or something. I don't remember. But she apparently was very well connected within high up Mormon circles, and a lot of Mormon pastors and stuff would send people to her instead of like more traditional doctors or psychologists, and a lot of her ideas around parenting and stuff are really, really deranged.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the house.
Step out of the house.
Step out of the house.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
We're just going to see if anybody else. Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they come into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there. I'll explain everything after. Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant, sir?
Control 12X11, can you hold the air? We're searching the house.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay. Just have a seat right there for me.
Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
We'll explain everything after this, ma'am. Okay. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're here. So we'll explain after everything's done, after we clear the house and make sure everything's fine in there.
But why are you coming into my house without a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
But that doesn't make sense. You come into my house and do what you want, and then you tell me you don't have a warrant?
No, we'll explain why we did.
But don't you have to have a warrant?
Not at this moment, we don't. We're here on exigent circumstances. And I'll explain it after this, after my sergeant and the officer are done clearing the house. Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes.
2 kids?
There's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay. How old is she?
She'll be 10 next week.
Okay. And she's on this side?
Mm-hmm. I have Airbnb guests over there. Probably scared them to death.
Okay. And they're on this side of the house then?
They're right over there. She's over here.
Can you get through the house that way?
Yes, they just have to go right there.
There's no other kids besides her?
No.
What's her name? Should be off to, where are you at?
Right here to your left.
Should be off to the left right in there.
The main bedroom?
Is it the main bedroom?
It's right there.
How do you get there from the inside?
Walk around the corner. There's a little hall. And it's the first.
Just around the corner down the hall.
Second door to the right.
You come in, my buddy. I'm a police officer.
We're getting a glimpse into newly released video showing the devastating moments after police encountered the children of disgraced YouTuber Ruby Franke. Officials have recently released a large amount of evidence against the former mom blogger, who is serving a lengthy prison sentence for felony aggravated child abuse. Franke and her then business partner Jody Hildebrandt's arrests were triggered after Franke's 12-year-old son was found emaciated with open wounds and duct tape around his body. A newly released Ring camera video, the young boy appears thinner and without shoes, in stark contrast to how he appeared years earlier in Franke's vlog. When he rings a neighbor's doorbell, he asks, "Can you take me to the nearest police station?"
Yeah, I believe it was in 2022 that she deleted her account, and her husband filed for divorce, and so it's been it had been like almost 2 years that they had not really been in the public eye.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
All right, let's skip that since we just saw that.
Police officer. Are you going for the union here? Hey, you okay? Is this just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name? I just have one. Where's your sister at? Contact one. You okay? Huh? You doing okay? You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though?
Sergeant Tobler would later tell ABC News they initially believed Frankie's daughter was a little boy due to the young girl having a buzz cut at the time. Tobler then tells EF they apprehended Jody Hildebrandt, but the little girl still sits silent, seemingly too afraid to speak.
We got Jody out here. You know Jody? She's outside with us. You take your time, bud. I'm in no hurry. I'm a police officer. Did you know that? I don't mean to hurt you at all. You doing okay? Are you scared? Yeah? You're okay. Do you need help? You want to come?
I just can't imagine how this is going to affect them down the road. I just hope whatever does happen to them, that they're able to have better lives.
No? I'm not going to hurt you. Promise. See this right here? It's a badge. It tells me I don't hurt people. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. You're in no way in any trouble. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to make sure you're okay. And I get if you're scared. I would be too. Okay? You want to come with me?
Still visibly afraid, the officer then offers reassurance to the young child by sitting down on the floor with her.
I'm just gonna sit down. It's okay if I just sit here with you. We don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay? I'll just sit here with you.
A little more than an hour later, EF is still afraid to leave the closet. Sergeant Tobler asks the young girl if she's hungry and would like some food.
I'll put this in, okay? You want to hungry? You can eat. There we go. Whew. Thanks, yeah.
EF seems nervous to eat as she stares at the small personalized pizza for several minutes before slowly inching.
So from what I've heard from, but it may have been Jody's niece, that I think her parents like sent to Jody, almost like a reform camp kind of thing to like straighten her out or something. And the things that she did to her was really disturbing, but also she would use like love bombing, where she would do like really horrific things to her and then like shower her with love and praise and stuff. And so it's like you can't trust any kind of act of kindness or anything.
The food toward her so she can take a bite. Frankie's daughter reportedly eats the entire personal pizza and half of the large one. More than an hour goes by and EF is still afraid to leave the closet as officials take turns to try to get her up, but she's still not budging. One EMT tries to get her to talk, but she said she's nervous.
You don't want to talk? Okay. There's nothing at all you want to talk about at all?
It's okay to talk to me. Are you scared?
It's unclear what was said after EF tells the EMT she's nervous. However, 10 minutes later, officials reassure EF she won't be harmed.
So can we carry you from there? It's the right choice. I promise. Pinky promise. We helped your brother. And we got him some help too.
Yeah, I think this was the same EMT that was at the other house where the brother was.
And that's what we want to do for you. If we want to get you some help too. We are safe. We will not hurt you, and we won't do anything to hurt you.
It's unclear what was said next, but after nearly 4 hours, EF stands up with the emergency responders and slowly walks out of the closet. EF is later taken to a hospital. Hildebrand and Frankie were ultimately arrested.
Was this your water?
It's yours if you want it. We'll say that. How's that?
We also have snacks if you need anything to eat. So I know I introduced myself to you earlier, but my name is Detective Bates, and this is Sergeant Tobler. We're just here to talk to you about kind of a few things involving your kids. So first, do you live down here, or? Or do you live up north? Do you want to talk to me about where you live or how many kids you have?
She seems more affected now. She's breathing heavily a little bit and seems upset that she got caught. Yeah, and blinking a lot.
So we just spoke with your husband, and he said you guys have 6 kids. Are those all together? Are those all your kids? I can wait all day, so it's up to you if you want to talk to us about what's going on. Would you feel more comfortable talking to one of us?
Or do you want me to, I can step out if you want?
Or if you feel more comfortable talking to him, I can step out.
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
Okay. So you don't want to talk to us at all? Do you want to answer that? Or you don't want to talk to us about anything?
So, yeah, this is just your chance to
I feel like if she did talk at all right now, it would just be all trying to justify what she
also
did.
just trying to get your side of the story. So it's your chance to do that. But it's up to you. We're just here to talk. And I mean, I'm not asking any criminal questions. If you don't want to talk to us, just let us know and we'll be done.
I've already told you.
That you want a lawyer? Okay. Okay. Easy enough.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can get for you in the meantime? I got the water. Do you need a bathroom break or anything like that? No? Okay. Good.
Hey Jody, how are you? So I know I introduced myself when we were out there, but again, my name is Detective Bates, and this is Sergeant Tobler.
I'm trying to get you in the paper. Can you sit in the seat for me? It's all about camera angles. So if you sit in that one, that'd be great.
Can I get you any water, snacks? doing all right?
Can be expected. How long you lived here in Islands? 6 years. 6 years. The same house?
Jody talked more. I don't know if she maybe felt, as a psychologist, she could kind of talk her way out of it or what. I don't know.
You married? Single?
Where'd you move from?
Utah County.
And how long were you up there for?
I'm a little nervous.
You're that. You know, to be honest with you, if I was sitting over there, I'd be a little nervous too. So don't worry about it. We're just here to talk, to get your side. And right now, we're just asking you just typical questions, like how long you lived here, that kind of thing.
I watched too many detective movies.
How yeah?
Which one's your favorite?
Me too. You can't honestly. I sit there and I'm married, and I sit there and watch those with my wife, and I say that, like, we don't. That's not how we do it. Hey, that's not right. So don't take. There's some good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but most of them are probably a little off base. We're not as mean. I won't get up and beat you up. We don't do that.
We just want to get to know you a little. So if you just kind of want to share a little about yourself and what brought you down here and.
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when you talk. So you guys seem nice people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to be difficult. This is really, if you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy for what's going on.
That's what we're looking for. And you're an adult, and the thing about our interview, if we ask you any questions that you don't want to answer, you can just tell us, I don't want to answer that question. But we do want to have a basis and an understanding of what's going on in that home, or what went on up north that brought them into your home.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to share any of that and you don't want to answer any other questions, that's okay.
I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're going to flip my words. I don't know.
And that's the good thing about cameras. Everything, it's pretty much double recorded, audio, video, and it's for the safety of for you and for us, because we don't want to flip your words. And this will all be pretty much right there to support you. So we're not going to use anything against you.
Be so insistent then. He's an honest, good man. Goes to church. I trust him. Why?
She's not dumb. Like, why? I don't know what she's playing at here.
Why would he say that to me then?
I don't know your attorney, to be honest.
Well, I'm just saying he's a
good
good,
man.
honest man.
Yeah,
and I'm an honest person as well, so we get along great. And he just said, do not say anything.
Maybe just as an attorney, they
always say that.
They always want to be with their client. I'm not sure, but like I said.
The police know. The police know why.
At any time, if you don't want to answer a question, you don't have to. So the ball's really in your court on what you do want to answer and what you don't. So.
Well, I think it looks sad that I don't want to answer anything, but it's not because I'm trying to be difficult. I'm really hanging on what he told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who's your attorney?
Adam, his father's an attorney, his brother's an attorney.
Is he local?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
He's on the street where the town hall is. They all have the same name.
The whole reason we're sitting here today is there's a lot of questions we have that we just maybe misunderstandings that we just need to clarify. And
I know, and I'd love to tell you if he were here, because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with what I say.
Yeah, she is terrified, and I thought maybe she might have a little bit more control over the situation emotionally, but I think that she is pretty disconnected from reality and probably from herself.
You know, I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time. So I get it. I sit on your side. I get it. I wish people didn't do that, but they do.
Well, If you're not willing to answer any of the questions about yourself, would you be willing to answer any questions maybe about Ruby or Kevin that you could help us understand? We just honestly want to understand what their dynamic is, what happened to the children, what caused their separation.
Right.
And after talking to Kevin, it sounds like you know a lot about their dynamic and their relationship. So if you could help us understand that at the least, that would be awesome. And that's nothing incriminating towards yourself because it's not pertaining to you. So if you could help us understand that.
Jody, we're going to do this. You asked for your attorney, and we'll leave it at that. We'd like to maybe talk to you later when you have your attorney here present.
Absolutely.
And we'll go
He
down
made
there,
an
okay?
appointment at 4 on
He made
Friday.
an appointment
Here.
here at 4.
He talked to the officer
Okay.
and said, "Can we make a time?" And he said out loud, "Do not talk to them."
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk and see if we can schedule that, and maybe that's just something we just do with your attorney. Okay. Do you have any questions for us, or anything we can answer in the meantime?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Appreciate your time. We'll have you hang tight in here, and we'll come back and get you, and we'll be on our way. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna have you stand up, all right? Thank you. Go ahead and face this officer. Go ahead and put your hands on top of your head. You notice your finger, please. Thank you. Just put your hands on top of your head. You're good. Look to your left. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Friday is not going to work for the interview, but I got Jessica. She's going to give me a card. We can schedule another day. We're thinking on Monday, maybe, for that interview. So, on Monday's holiday if you want. We'll get you a card when you can get with Adam and schedule that. Okay.
How do I schedule that if you guys are on the phone?
We'll give you a card with the phone number. And then, yeah, you can call Adam and have Adam call us, and we can schedule it, or you can call us and schedule it either way.
Okay. Just gonna do another quick check. Another eye search, dear. Nothing in your pockets? You have nothing on you at all? Okay, let's go ahead. You can go out the front door to my vehicle out there. Yeah. We'll put her on the right side. Hey, Jess? Jessica? Hey, I'm calling her. Trying to put her in there. Wait.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, go ahead. Judy, this right side of the vehicle, please. Hop on in. I'll help you if you need.
I had a crash on the right side, so my shoulder's screwed up.
Okay. Just be careful then. I'm gonna got you right here as much as I can.
Would it
You want
feel more
double cuff?
comfortable? Yeah.
Put 2 cuffs on it. Go ahead and step on out. I got you.
I landed on my
So he's gonna.
Come on out. One more.
We're gonna double cuff you so that you have more room for your shoulders. So he's
Okay.
gonna take one of your hands out. Okay. When he does that, I want you to place that hand on your head for me.
I mean, there's one.
Grace, you want to let you know what criminal charges for, so you're under arrest. It's going to be 2 counts, 2nd-degree felony of child abuse or neglect, okay? you understand that or no? Are you okay? I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to, like, do you need medical attention before you go to the jail?
No.
Okay. All right, well, we'll have you, as soon as she gets down here, we'll bring you out, okay?
Okay.
Have you ever been arrested before? I'm just concerned about you. I know you don't believe that. But I've had an opportunity to talk to your husband and kind of worried about your circumstances and obviously your children as well. But you're sure you don't need medical attention or anything like that?
She's just somewhere else entirely.
Soda. Soda? Some soda. I got soda in 2 years. Why did you start today? I don't know. It's all around. I don't feel too good right now drinking that soda. Yeah, you'll see. We'll see what happens later tonight, I guess, right? It's okay. I will say it works out because I worked out for 2 hours today. So I earned about 3 sodas.
Yes, you did.
Now I'm sweating it off.
It's so hot downstairs.
Oh, it was.
I found the AC
everywhere.
unit finally, so I turned it down.
Oh, down there?
Mm-hmm. It was 78.
Her house ain't about that.
Oh, dude, it was bad.
Yeah.
Just seems like she's hardly even breathing too, like very shallow breaths probably.
Yeah, do you probably need to do another
Search?
content? Yeah.
She's not wearing a bra or anything, but. I'm just gonna make sure you don't have anything in your pockets. And you're not wearing anything else under this, correct?
No, ma'am.
Spandex? Nothing? You don't remember what you're in? Okay. I just want to make sure that you don't have anything. Just widen the stance a little bit for me. Yep. Thank you. Okay. So I just spoke. You can turn to face me. So I just spoke with Joey, but you both are under arrest right now for child abuse. And you'll have 2 counts of that, one for Eve and one for Russell. Okay? It's for the malnourishment. You guys are in direct custody of those kids. Okay? Do you have any questions for me at this time? No questions? Okay, you can hop in.
You got it.
Yep. So if you would move your feet as far forward as possible. Don't worry about it.
You'll have 6 complaints.
Just let you know, I am going to review the Miranda rights before we start.
All right, this is Frankie's husband, and I believe they got divorced in 2022 after having been separated for a year before that.
We're just kind of ask you a few questions about your involvement. Okay, so first you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in the court of law. Okay, you have the right to an attorney or to have him or her present while questioning. If you cannot afford to hire one, one will be hired to represent you. If you decide to answer questions, you can stop at any time. Okay, do you understand your rights?
I do.
Okay, do you wish to speak to me now?
Well, I want to pick up my kids.
How about this? We're going to ask you some questions, and if you don't want to answer them, you just say, hey man, I'm not going to answer that.
Sure.
And you just say, hey, I'm not going to talk, that's not beneficial to you, and then we're done, we're nowhere, and we're nowhere, and...
Sure.
You understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so just for starters, what was your full name?
Kevin William Franke.
How to spell that?
Kevin William Franke.
And what's your date of birth? What's a good address for you?
I'm not comfortable giving my address right now.
Okay. But you do live in Springville?
I do.
How long have you lived in Springville for?
I moved there in 2007 with my family, so
And how many?
17 years.
17. And how many kids do you have, Kevin?
I have 6 kids.
And what are their names? I can't remember.
Some of them are teenagers, 2 adults.
So are they all living with you, or?
No, I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation.
From who?
From my wife and family.
What's your wife's name?
Ruby.
Ruby. When was the last time you saw Ruby?
The last time I saw her was the 18th of this month. We met she requested me to sign over vehicles, or the titles to the vehicles, the vehicle that she drives, that were all in my name.
When's the last time you physically saw Russell or Eve?
The day that I moved out, July 24th, 2022.
24th of...
That's crazy. I don't understand why he would not have seen them for an entire year after that. Like, there would be no reason for that. Like, if it was something like Ruby didn't want him to see them or something, like he could have gotten some sort of temporary order. That doesn't make any sense.
2022.
Or July 25th, July 25th.
So it's my understanding that at least home here in Kayenta and Ivans, have you been to that home?
No.
You've not been to that home?
No, I don't know. I don't know what's anything that's been going on.
Like, this is good, man. Like, I would love to be able to help you out with this, and like, I'm seeing the light of you because I'm unaware of your involvement.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to me that he was knowledgeable and complicit in like some of the early on abuse that was not as severe as this. So I don't think that he is really innocent either, but I don't think he knew at all what had been going on since he left, though.
In what's really going on. So for you to say that...
But like, if I don't know, if I were in that position and I knew, it seemed like Ruby was the one who instigated and was like the driving force behind the abuse, like, I would make sure I knew my kids were okay.
You're unaware of the status of your kids kind of makes, I know that sounds kind of crummy to you, but it sounds kind of good to me. Like, who lives in that home with your, Is it ex-wife? Is it currently a separated wife? Like, who lives in that home with your children?
To be honest, I don't know. I know that she's there with 4 of the children, and our 2 older children have moved out.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't really care about them either, and maybe this is all speculation, but maybe like he thought that if he could distance himself enough from the situation that he would not be complicit in anything, I guess. I don't know.
And I'm not trying to trip you up. I can see you're hesitant to talk to me. I understand that.
Well, where I live, no,
Yeah.
I haven't seen them for over a year.
Okay. That's tough. I can only imagine how that feels when I got kids. And not have seen them for that long, that would tear a little piece of my heart out.
Of age to drive. Does she drive?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, I know nothing is going on in their lives or anything going on.
How did you find out that you needed to come here to 55 North Main Street?
I received a message that I needed to come pick up my kids from the police department in Highlands.
And who was that message from?
Well, I prefer not to say right now.
It would just help us a lot.
I'm trying to figure out who reached out to you because it makes sense that that would happen. I'm just not aware of anyone who did that from our department.
Right. And I'm not comfortable saying right now who reached out to me.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you haven't seen any of your kids in over a year, you said?
That's correct.
And then, what was the last time you saw her? How old is she now?
15.
She's 16. Okay. And then, when all the kids left, Ruby took all of them?
Yeah, she stayed in the house and I moved out.
Okay. And did you ever try to reach out to the kids, drop by the home, or was there?
I honored the no separation boundary that we agreed to.
So, what was your separation?
Contact boundary, excuse me.
Did you have a no contact order in place?
Order? No, this was between my wife and I.
So, what did Ruby ask of you when you separated?
What did she ask of me?
Did she ask you not to contact the kids?
Ruby invited me to leave the home while I thought about the choices that I've made in my life and the way that I've treated her.
Okay.
And so I left.
And how long had you and Ruby been married before?
We were married in 2000.
So about 22 years?
When we separated, we were going on 22 years. Yes.
Okay. And during your marriage, how was disciplining your kids? How would you discipline your kids?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay. That's fine.
Have you been since separated or since they lived here in the city of Ivans? Have you communicated with your wife regarding like disciplining with your kids or their care or their physical well-being?
No.
So is she doing this on her own and just telling you how your kids are?
She's not telling me anything about the kids.
Who's this female Jody that your wife lives with? Do you know a female named Jody?
She is a therapist and a life coach, I know. And she's...
Do you respect her?
Do I respect her? Yeah, I think she's a very honest, truthful person, yes.
Okay. You place value on Jody?
I don't know what that means.
Like, do you value what she says and how she treats? Is your wife a client of hers? Is your wife...
So apparently, the kids are still in state custody, and Kevin is petitioning, seeking custody for them, but that has not been granted, and I'm not sure Not sure that it should be. I think maybe the oldest sister would be a good option. I don't know.
A partner of hers? Is your wife a roommate with her? Your kids are living in her house, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they've been in business for the last year filming.
Who's they?
Ruby and Jody. They
Ruby
film.
and Jody's in business.
Film podcasts, and so every week a podcast goes up, and I listen to it. And
What's the name of it?
Connections with an X.
Like C-O-N...
C-O-N-N-E-X-I-O-N-S. Yeah.
And then, like, do you support them in that role and doing that and having...
Do I support them in the business?
Yeah, like, do you support them and think that what they're doing is a good thing, or...
Yeah, I support their business efforts. I think it's a good thing.
Are you involved with their business efforts, or...?
No.
Okay. So just Ruby and Jody? No
In
Kevin?
the business?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And were you involved in the 8 passengers account with your family?
Yes. I was in the videos, and if that's what you mean.
I briefly learned about this 2 hours ago.
So, did Ruby more so do the videos for the family?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you guys do that for?
She started the channel in 2015, and as far as I'm aware, from the time I left, the last video she uploaded was towards the end of 2021.
Okay.
And again, I'm not aware of anything she's done since our separation. I don't visit 8 passengers anymore.
Chapter of your life that's gone?
It's a past chapter, yeah.
So how do you and Ruby communicate? Just through text, phone call?
Through text, and if there's anything considered an emergency, we agreed that we would communicate through a phone call.
Okay. And do you know her phone number off the top of your head?
I feel like they, because it would be crazy for people with this much money to not have some sort of formal agreement in place, or to at least have lawyers draw up an agreement that they can both sign, much less go and get like a temporary order until, during the year-long separation until they get divorced. I think that they probably both knew and agreed that it would be in their best interest to not get any sort of government involved in child custody arrangements. That's probably what happened.
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay. No worries. So, how often would you guys communicate while she was down here?
Well, I don't know how often or long she was down here. We've communicated maybe 4 times in 2023 since January.
That's crazy.
So are you aware of how she disciplines the kids, or how she handles the kids with behavioral issues or anything like that?
No.
So you're unaware of how she does that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of the physical condition of your children?
No. No. I've chosen to trust my wife with the children. That was part of the agreement of our separation.
Is that you allow her to physically provide for the needs of the child? You're just removed from that? Or in case...
All right. Married for 22 years, but doesn't know how she treats the kids. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like there was an escalation in the treatment, obviously, after she deleted the YouTube channel, because they were not emaciated in this way while they were on YouTube. And, but yeah, I mean, the things that she alluded to and that the oldest daughter has talked about, there was definitely starvation going on. Not starvation, but using hunger as a form of punishment, withdrawing food as a form of punishment, all sorts of abusive behaviors. And so he absolutely knew how she treated the kids. And if he was any sort of good person at all, he would not have trusted her with them.
I know this is personal questions, but
yes, my job is to financially provide for them.
He and Jody both play victim. He is just as guilty as Jody and Ruby are. I agree. And I think that they truly believe the bullshit that Jody especially, that she taught, that they believe in the supernatural, they believe there's demons in these kids, and that this is the only way to get them to behave right, or get them to, I don't know. I think that they talk about it more in the jailhouse calls and Ruby's journal at the end here as well, but I think they really believe all this shit.
I'm trying to figure out how much of a role do you play in the caretaking of specifically of those two kids?
I pay the bills.
Okay.
With my job, I provide the money, goes into a shared bank account, and that's my only involvement.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of things I want to talk to you about, but I still can't get over the fact that someone notified you to come here to pick up your kids. My guess is, was that Jody?
No, I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
All I'll say is,
well,
someone
you said you trusted
me.
her. You said that you think that she's not necessarily. I asked you if you placed value on her, but you obviously.
She is an honest. I know her to be an honest and a trustworthy individual, and so yeah, I trust her. And I received a communication that. And so I left immediately from my job and drove down here. That's all I know. I've come to pick up my kids and to take them home with me.
Yeah, is there custodial paperwork that says that you're like a... There's no custodial paperwork denying you of rights, correct?
There's no custodial paperwork at all.
Period. So the kids are yours?
They are mine.
Okay.
Yes. This wasn't just a verbal agreement between my wife and I when we said.
Yeah, unless you just have like a very amicable divorce, where it's just not really worth going and spending the money to get a court order in the meantime, or you have things that you would want to hide, you wouldn't want coming out in some sort of custody battle. Those are pretty much the only two reasons that you would not have some formal agreement in place and only have a verbal agreement.
Last year.
What questions do you have?
Oh, I want to know what's going on and why I was asked to come down and pick up my two kids.
Well,
and a lot of that kind of hinges on who asked you, because if we had been the one, like, I'm not going to say you fib, but I'm confident a cop didn't call you because we wouldn't have wanted you down here at this point in our investigation. So, having said that, I think it's time we be honest with you, right?
Sure. No, and I didn't lie. Someone contacted me, but I don't want to say without
from your office, but okay.
Well, I don't recall saying someone from my office.
Our office.
No.
Someone, yeah. So we don't know who called you. So if we knew who called you, then we could help you.
It would make more sense.
But.
Well, I don't know the legal ramifications of implicating individuals who contacted me. And so without a lawyer here, I don't want to answer that question.
That's okay. But you want to know specifics of the case, which we can't share right now because it's under investigation. So
I see.
yeah, so we would like to ask questions about where you found out, but we'll respect that if you don't want to share that information. But I am curious, when you guys had the previous 8 Passengers YouTube channel, you guys got a lot of heat for neglect and child abuse. A lot of people commented those things on there. Why were they commenting those things?
That's a good question. We had a son who was acting out in very selfish behavior.
Is this Chad or
yes, this was Chad. And none of this is strange or odd. You could get on YouTube and find out all sorts of stuff on this.
It's like a double-edged sword.
Whereas the question is, what do you believe, right? There was even an article written in Newsweek magazine in 2020 on it, or was it Newsweek? No, Business Insider, where we were interviewed, and we were pretty straightforward when we talked about it, and we shared our piece in that. Basically, it boils down to he was being very cruel and mean to his siblings that he shared a room with, and so we removed him from the room. And we said, you can sleep anywhere you want. Sleep on the couch, sleep on the pull-out bed, sleep on the floor for all we care, but you're not sleeping in that room with your brother. He chose to sleep on a beanbag. So 9 months later, he had made a lot of changes in his life, and he was ready to...
9 months. 9 months of having no privacy, not having a room, not having a bed. And this was for a prank that he pulled on his brother, basically telling him that they were going to Disneyland when they actually weren't. Just harmless kid stuff.
And we had moved by that time, and so we had a new house, and he was ready to move into his own bedroom. Made a video about it, and in the video he mentioned something to the effect of, I've been sleeping for...
And he's talking about this like it's just normal, like, yeah, this is just what happened, and but people thought it was bad, but this is how he's acting, this is what we had to do, and it helped. When this is psychotic, and also definitely far from the only thing that people talked about.
For 9 months on a beanbag, and that is what all the uproar was about.
What did you guys do to help, like, with his behavioral issues? Is that something you and Ruby talked about together? And then did you help him discover yourself and fix behavioral issues and things like that? Is that something you and Ruby sought out to help correct, like, some of the things?
Yes, and I supported it, and so together we held boundaries for our son to support his choosing honest and responsible choices. And when he chose honest and responsible choices consistently is when he began to get his privileges back. And that was the uproar, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yes, through 2000.
I'm really surprised that he, first of all, talked to them at all, but also as long as he did. It looks like 40 minutes.
Contact with him because I'm honoring the no contact separation boundary with, that I agree to with my wife, but I understand that he's 18, living on his own somewhere in Provo and working and supporting himself.
What other kids went down to visit Jody?
What other kids?
Yeah, did you send any of the other kids down to spend time with Jody?
Down to spend time with Jody. They would meet on Zoom.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in spring
stuff.
Well, even in 2019, she would meet with them.
So when did Ruby and Jody, to your knowledge, like decide to collaborate, come together and mesh lives? Because that's what's happened.
Well, they decided to start a business in 2021.
So while you and Ruby were together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but there were, at that period it was pretty nebulous. I don't know.
What's that word mean?
It was just a lot of talk and there weren't like solid plans. It was, let's start by, doing podcasts together. And then that's all I know. I know that they published a book together recently. You can find it on Amazon. It's not a secret.
Was business thriving? Like life was good between those two?
Well, not that I was aware.
Well, at some point, and again, I'm not digging into your life, but I'm trying to understand this. At some point,
They
kick you out.
When you talk about a business, thriving in terms of business and money, when we stopped 8 passengers on YouTube, we lost 90% of our income. So to say that business was thriving, in my perspective, no.
Got it.
I don't think it ever was. After that.
Was that part of your guys' reason for separation after you guys ended 8 passengers?
Was that part of the reason? The reasons are because of ways that I treated my wife and some of my own addictions that I was working through and seeking help on with pornography.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I've made some wonderful progress.
Like, is that something you came to the realization that you needed help and weren't doing things right, or is that something that like Jody helped you guys recognize that maybe Ruby needed more? I'm trying to understand her involvement in your guys' life. She's my focus, so just to be honest.
I understand, and I can perceive that. Jody and Ruby have a close relationship, and
from what I've heard, Jody tears apart relationships pretty much, and it's all about, I forget exactly how she phrases it, but just like being out of alignment or out of sync or something with your true calling or whatever it is. And basically that everyone has addictions, and whether it's corn or lying or being selfish, and it's just like there's never any real like progress made. It is just like constantly focusing on you being this bad, terrible person, and like needing to do penance for it, or like constantly needing to be punished for it. And there's just never any kind of like grace or progress at all.
Jody saw the need for me to get help, and frankly, I agree. The space has been exactly what I need to face, my own addictions and receive the support and help that I've needed. And so the space has been very, very good for me.
Mm-hmm. So when you stated that you and Ruby had this no contact that you guys just verbally agreed upon, was that an idea given by Jody that she recommended you guys have that space and not contact one another?
I'm not aware of that. The invitation for me to leave and take space was from my wife.
Okay.
But that was while Jody and Ruby were friends and collaborating and doing podcasts and
sure.
Well, you're the custodial parent of each other. I don't see why we can't explain to you why we're involved. So recall the exact time, but sometime before 11 o'clock today, we received a phone call from 911 on our dispatch that a 12 to 13-year-old boy was knocking on doors in a neighborhood asking for food and water, that he was severely
I'd be interested to see his reaction to this.
emaciated, that he had
What does emaciated mean?
skinny, scrawny, malnutrition, not enough food, not enough water to sustain life. So he had,
I'm sorry, what?
He had duct tape on his extremities, on his hands, on his ankles, and those were covering rope burns that were used to tie him down. Take a second and think about what I just said. That's the condition of your son. Given that information, your son was taken to the hospital. A warrant has been applied and granted by the Department of Child and Family Services to remove from your wife's care. So no one right now is going to have access to these two children based on their physical condition. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Would you condone that behavior?
Yeah, like his whole behavior in this has been really weird. Like, I would be freaking the fuck out. Like, where are my kids? What happened to them? What's wrong? And then, like, yeah, he just seems to be putting on a bit of a performance here. And, like, to be fair, like, you never really know how you're going to react with, bad news, but...
Here?
But I condone that behavior.
That's my job. My job is to find out your knowledge of the treatment of these
Based on your
precious
description,
children.
no. But again, I don't know the details, or I don't know what's going on. But as you described that sounds
Horrible. Disgusting. No human being should be treated like that.
Okay.
That's my thoughts. But again, we might be different on that.
This is a really strange reaction.
We're going to sit here for a second, okay? We're going to go out and talk. I'm not saying you're still not free to go. Are you under arrest? Absolutely not. We just have lots of questions we need to figure out. Lots. Okay?
Okay, because...
Your children are under medical care right now.
And what does that mean?
And it means that you don't have access to them. My understanding is that they are... What is that?
They're in the custody of DCFS.
And they will be for the next 7...
There's a medical hold on them right now. So for at least the next 72 hours, based on our understanding.
At least the next 70.
They're in observation. They're being watched.
DCFS is going to provide you that information, and they can better answer your questions along those lines. That's handled with them. Okay? So we'll be back.
So I want you to think about some things, though.
I don't know.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to think about that for a minute. I have no idea where they're at.
Oh, I don't either. But,
If we're going to hop out here, we'll be back in a minute, okay? That's still recording audio and video, okay? So if you would, don't make any phone calls.
Sure.
Okay, but like, what is going on with the two middle girls, J and A? Are they in foster care? So to my knowledge, they are still all the minors are still in state custody, and I believe the Child Protective Services or the DSS or whatever is kind of in the process of figuring out where they're going to go. The husband is trying to get custody. I'm hoping that he does not get it. Obviously, it was deemed that he should not get them anytime soon. So, we will see. I really hope that they're being treated well in foster care. I've definitely heard stories of kids getting out of situations like this and then going into foster care and being mistreated there as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the oldest daughter would be a good option or what, but
What's going to happen to my wife? I love my wife.
I don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. Hadn't had anything to do with
I
you.
don't have those charges against my wife.
Possibly.
I would not be giving a fuck about my wife at this point. Fuck her.
I think given the circumstances, that's highly appropriate, but again, I don't know your wife. I was hoping to gain some insight from you, but I don't necessarily know that that's something you wanted to,
I trust her.
a road you wanted to travel down with me, so.
And not without legal representation.
Yeah, alright, I get it.
But I love my wife and I trust my wife. And so, I mean, this feels like getting run over by a steam truck, what you're sharing with me today.
Yeah, I can tell you're caught off guard.
I thought I was just coming here to pick up my kids, and for what, I don't know what or why, but. And I was planning on taking them back with me and just.
I mean, I'd love to have a candid conversation with you, I just don't know how it's going to be received by you. I don't know you, but I can tell you my perception of how this happened.
Well,
whether you have it or not, it's.
Look, I'm interested in facts, but at the same time, I'm interested in all the facts.
But you understand our facts. Our facts are that you have a child that is emaciated, malnutrition, and has marks. I didn't spend any time.
That cop is so over his BS. Yeah, I mean, I am like by no means a cop lover, but I do appreciate them in these instances, and I appreciate their ability to maintain composure, to be able to like gain trust from these kinds of people and get them to talk, and then be able to flip in a moment and get serious with them.
Did any of you spend time with her?
I have not.
She was requested to go to the hospital along with Russell, based on her condition.
Folks, I don't know what to do. Like, I want this. You realize that I have a picture of my family on my wall, and I look at it every day. And I work every day, so I can get back to my family and save my family. And everything you're sharing to me just sounds like a made-up story. Like I have no idea what you're talking about. Like,
yeah, you haven't been there for a fucking year. What do you expect?
it's just, it sounds like a horror movie. And I get you're all doing your jobs. I get it.
Like, I don't know if, again, like I fully believe that they did not want any sort of legal intervention in their divorce, because I think they knew what would happen. But I also wonder if Ruby had things on him, and she said like, hey, if you try to get custody, like I'm gonna tell them XYZ. And maybe he said, well, I know stuff about you, so if you try to do that, then I'm going to tell them XYZ. And they're like, okay, well then neither of us are going to have the kids. And so I don't know. I just don't buy any innocence from him in the least.
I understand. And this is my life. I just want my kids. I just want my kids. I just want my family.
We want to have your family do.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know why these things that you described happened, I don't know. It's almost like I want to say, I'm sorry, you must have somebody else. Because it's like, am I in the right conference room here? No. That's what I feel like. It's real. You know, I'm having a hard time accepting this and dealing with this. I mean, you're telling me that you're taking my kids from me. And like, we need to transfer the titles of the car to my name, you know, or we're going to cancel these credit cards and stuff like that. So it's just stuff related to the finances really is our only communications over the past year.
Sure.
We've had zero communications regarding the kids.
Okay.
I've had no reason to believe or think that there was anything going on. For all intents.
I'm sorry. That is insane. To not be, even if you're not going to see them, to not be calling them, to not be asking how they're doing.
And purposes, I woke up this morning looking at the picture of my family and making my commitment today, as I do every day, that I'm
Like, all he's doing here is just like trying to tell a story about how much he cares about his kids. Like, why would you be doing that in this instance?
going to live an honest, a virtuous, and a responsible life today. And what you're sharing with me just feels like a sucker punch.
Just imagine. Brianna, you have questions? Okay.
If I still have a family,
yeah.
And I just I don't know what my plan is. My plan is to go to God.
Sure.
And to figure this out.
Right.
And I am just heartbroken with what you all are sharing with me. And I feel responsible. Separating, leaving. It hurts. And I wish I was a better husband.
Like, it seems like he's just fishing for sympathy.
I know you're all doing your jobs. And I know you all have the best interest of my kids in mind. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks. That means a lot.
Even the way he is talking is making it about himself. Yeah, like, I would be asking, like, details, like, what condition are they in? What, I don't know. I mean, I genuinely, I don't know how I would react in this situation, so I can't say, but it would not be like this.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back. I want my wife back. Okay.
I don't want this to sound rude, Kevin. We've got some things to do, but we're not kicking you out. But the building's closed. Okay. You're gonna be okay driving home? I really am worried about you. Okay. Do your best, breathe. Gotta pull over the side of the road. Do you drink Red Bulls?
Do you want your water to go, Kevin?
Okay, this is fucked up. This is fucked up right here. I saw a clip of this. This is like a safe room in Jody's house that I think that she would keep the kids in. There's no audio on this, by the way. So like there's no telling how much it would cost to have something like this installed. This is custom installed. There's a toilet in here. There's a sink and a refrigerator. This is for like extended solitary confinement. Notice how there's no food or drinks in the fridge. Yeah, she probably, um, maybe it had not been used for a while. Maybe she would just stock it with the bare minimum, or like one or two things to ration out whoever she had in it. Um, yeah, like she would not have kept this fully stocked so that they could eat whatever they want. I didn't see like a bed or a cot or anything. There's some bedding over here, so likely just sleeping on the floor. Okay, there's a pull-out bed there. I have no idea. There may be like some details of the case that they didn't necessarily want out in the public. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past the cops to be cracking jokes though either. Or maybe the audio just was not good in here. Mm.
We're also hearing from Ruby Franke herself just one day after her arrest.
This is a call from and paid for by Ruby Franke, Purgatory Corrections, an inmate at Purgatory Correctional Facility. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now.
After less than 24 hours in jail, Ruby makes a call to her husband, Kevin, who reminds her the call is being recorded.
Okay, well, you know that this phone call is being recorded.
Yes, that will come out. That will come out.
Almost right away, Ruby asks whether she's making the headlines.
Are we in the news?
It sounds like at least you're in the news. I don't know about me. I don't know what he's talking about. But
In early conversations with Kevin, Ruby calls her arrest a witch hunt.
I am wondering if they went to Sherry to, ask her questions.
I don't know.
These bookings are public.
Yeah, so it seems like at the time during her arrest, she was probably just thinking about Sherry. The fact that she right after accused her son of SA from a very young age. She was just totally divorced from reality.
I know they are. And a couple of months ago, Business Insider was reaching out to me, and I ignored their email, but I'm going dark.
This is a witch
I'm not at BYU. I'm not at BYU anymore, so I don't know how they're going to find me.
Yeah, maybe it was a blessing. This is a witch hunt. The devil's been after me for years.
At first, Franke doesn't show any remorse, saying children can be full of evil.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it. You've seen what it takes to fight evil.
Thanks for the follow, Liv.
It's not the person you're fighting.
Yeah, she's saying here, she's talking to her husband saying, you've seen what it takes to fight evil. He knows what her methods are. He was complicit in it.
And it can look like something it's not. And you've been there, you know that. And so I don't know any adults who are going to see the truth. So I'm calm about this, and I just pray that you'll hang in there.
The next day, Ruby speaks with Kevin again and even defends Jody Hildebrandt.
The most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. My own family misunderstands me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jody, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her. She puts her neck out on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous.
Ruby seems to realize the legal implications ahead, but still blames the entire situation on Satan.
He's 35 years in this, and he said, even if you are acquitted and are released, they will place legal restrictions on your access to the under 18 children.
I figured such. God told me when I was driving before I called you. I didn't have any information. I didn't know anything, and the Spirit said, your children are going to be removed. And I cried out loud. I'm like, no.
You needed fucking God to tell you that?
Oh, I'm not done. I'm not ready. And God told me I'm done. And I just, So, Satan has taken everything away from me that I love. And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things. I'm a really good girl.
But the next time we hear from Ruby in late October, she's changed her tune.
I can't.
I don't do naughty things. I'm a really good girl.
everything that I want to say, but I really did feel like the arrest was like a rescue. Like I just felt so many angels around, and it was like a relief. It was just really kind of surreal, kind of strange. But I just keep thinking about, President Nelson's talk, think celestial, and I know he's said in the past about myopic thinking, and he's given a lot of context to, how small this life really is, and I'm just so grateful. How many people, will go to the grave not having woken up, and I want to use this time, and I am using this time to change, to repent, and to do what I can to let the Lord know I love him and my family, and I've had many experiences here to kind of guide my thinking.
A month later, Ruby says time away from Jody has cleared her head.
I could not come out of this without his grace, without his mercy, without his help. This has been the strangest and the most miraculous intervention. It put everybody where they needed to be. It separated me from Jody, so I'm not hearing her. And I think just being gone and not hearing her has cleared a lot of things up for me.
Ruby and Jody both pleaded guilty to all charges against them in December of last year. Ruby is caught on a recording discussing the pleas and future court proceedings.
Did you see that Jody pled guilty today?
I did see that. Yes, is that a relief for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big relief. It's a big relief. There would have been positive the other way too. Had she not pled guilty, there's enough evidence that she could have been convicted for life, but that would have been messy. It would have been really messy, and the kids would have. So.
So do you and her get the same outcome no matter what now, or is there a chance that it would be different?
That's a really good question. That's one that I've asked Lamar. No, we can still have different outcomes.
Ruby theorizes that Jody pleaded guilty because she knew Ruby would testify against her and expected Jody would lie about her mental health history.
She can lie on her paperwork, and she probably will. I don't think she's going to give them her history. But I think in the interview it's going to be apparent that she's mentally ill. And so that will affect how long someone, because they're looking, how repentant are you? How much responsibility are you taking? How are you aware that what you've done is wrong? And she's not. She's the only reason she pled is because she didn't want to do life. She knew I would testify.
Then Ruby reveals the last time she spoke to Jody was the day of her arrest.
When was the last time you talked to her? Was it that day?
Perfect desecration. Thanks for watching, man. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate you. You have a good night, all right?
It was when we were arrested. Yeah, I left early in the morning to go to a dentist appointment with Julie. We left at like 3 in the morning, and she calls me sometime in the morning, and so I went back down.
I will. I'm going to find something light and fun to watch after this.
But when I got to the house, I mean, it looked like It looked like the movies. There was a red fire truck. There was a black van with tinted windows. There were 2 ambulances. There were 20 cop cars. I mean, it was.
Did you just sit in your car?
No, I pulled up and found a spot to park. She lives on a cul-de-sac. I parked in the cul-de-sac, and I walked up, and the driveway was just full of cops, and I just walked up to the cops, and they said, "Are you the mother?" And I nodded my head, and so they took me and put me in the casita, and I sat there for a couple hours. I just sat there.
Ruby then explains that with time, she got a clearer picture of what really happened. But Ruby Franke's jailhouse calls aren't the only ones we're hearing. As Law and Crime's Elizabeth Milner explains, we also hear from Jody Hildebrandt.
In the newly released jail phone calls, Ruby Franke's former business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, is showing no remorse for the abuse inflicted upon Franke's children.
But it was like everything got taken out of the house and it's in a storage unit so that I could come to jail. It sounds crazy, but it really feels that way. And I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of example, but when I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children, because that's what's happening, is that kids are being just horribly abused. And instead of the kids, anyways, it's a story, but when you come, I'll tell you about it.
So what I'm saying is you're being crucified in public opinion, so your fear has to be super prepared. And the only way he's going to get prepared is if you push him and ride him.
Okay, I will. I'll call him today. He doesn't seem really animated. He seems like, the pictures are going to destroy you. And I'm like, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. Those pictures we did not do. He did that to himself, yes. Did we put that on him and then he rubbed around and cut himself? Yes. But we didn't do that.
In a later phone call, Hildebrandt can be...
That's so fucking insane. She's saying that, yes, they tied him up, but him trying to struggle is what caused the wounds and the...
He heard visibly emotional, but still defending her actions.
Nightmare here, Dennis. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth because these kids, I told Doug, I woke up, the spirit told me, it's all the devil. I mean, you've seen him. I mean, I've known you, for 5 years? You've watched him come at me, come at me, come at me, come at me. And you're exactly right, because he knows I know what he's doing. And he uses these kids. And he uses all of us as the adults, the parents that don't hold the kids accountable. So now it's abusive to make a kid sleep on the floor. It's abusive. Or it's abusive to, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can't even raise your kids anymore.
In a February recorded call after Hildebrandt pleaded guilty, she refers to Bible scripture while leaving a coded message to a man.
I hope they both spend the rest of their lives in jail.
She's speaking with on the phone.
So there's a section he's talking about the second coming. And, I'm coming from this place of I was just getting ready to move, and all of a sudden I ended up in prison. Like, what in the world? And, one day you'll know all the details, and they'll all make sense. But if I could talk in code here. So he said, this is the Lord talking to the disciples. They asked him, when shall these things be? Like, when are these things going to come to pass? And so he starts talking to him about the last days. And he says that nation shall war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And then he goes, but before all these that he just talked about, they shall lay their hands on you. Now, I have been praying for 5 months, explain this to me, what is going on? I'm willing to go there, but please let me go right side up. If you want me to be there because you want me to be there, then great. I will not resist it at all, but please help me understand. So I read this morning, and I just wept and wept and just thanked him and thanked him and thanked him, because it just all click, 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 click. So he says, but before all these things, nation rising against nation, they shall lay their hands on you. And I'm like, and prosecute you.
And at one point, she said she's happy to go to prison.
And he says, and ye shall be betrayed by both parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what's going on. And some of you shall be caused to be put to death, and you shall be hated by all men for my name's sake. And then he goes on to say, and I've read that before, but I've never been in prison. But I just read that, and I just wept. I mean, the Spirit was like, he just said, this is you. So then I read in Mark. So that was in.
It's hard to parse out what is religion, what is mental illness, what is just evilness. Because although I'm an atheist and an ex-Christian, I'm not an anti-theist. I'm not anti-religion. But I am anti-harmful aspects of religion. And it is so easy for religion to drive and perpetuate mental illness and evilness. Whether it's used just as a cover or whether people truly believe these things and reality just gets so warped in your mind that you truly think that you're doing the right thing by abusing your kids. And then there's also it just goes so much deeper than just the family YouTube vlog channel, exploiting your children for that. That's already bad enough. And that needs to be highlighted more. But then for all of this to be underneath it as well.
That was in Luke, and I read in Mark the same kind of thing, because the Gospels, they wrote similarly. So he said, now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son. The father will betray the son. And the children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. That statement right there is what's going on with me. The children shall rise up and put their parents to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. I probably cried for an hour straight. Just everything clicked. And I said, I'm happy to go to prison. Because if you continue to read the rest of the chapter, he's like, be grateful. If you're in this situation, be grateful because you're one of mine. And you will be saved. And this is, yeah. Well, I have just been begging him, you've got to explain this to me. I cannot logically figure out what's going on here. And that's it. That's what's going on. And the Spirit, when I feel the Spirit, I have two physiological reactions. I get really shaky, I'm shivering, like I'm cold, or I feel heat, like I have a fever run through me. And I was burning up. It felt like I was burning up, and I was just shaking with gratitude, here's your answer. Here's what this is. But in 1 Peter chapter 4, between verses 12 and 19.
Who is she talking to about this? I believe that this is a phone call between Jody and Ruby, possibly.
I can't remember exactly how he says it, but he's like, when you have something happen to you and it just feels like it's random, it's not random. Like this is intentional. You're it's not just some crazy act of events that's going on. This is like intentional. And that 1 Peter chapter 4 was another one of the footnotes to refer to, that reinforced all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, this isn't just some crazy random event. This has purpose. And then I connected it to my blessing, because my blessing I've been reading like several times a day, and the blessing is pretty clear. The first paragraph in it says, these are words directly to you from your Heavenly Father, and according to your faith and diligence, they'll either be a comfort to you or they won't be. So however much diligence and faith you want to put in them. And then the next paragraph talks about, it says, you are a special spirit, chosen and reserved for these last days and sent forth to the earth in great clouds of glory to share the gospel and prepare the people for the return of the Savior. And then it says, one of the reasons you were sent here is to share the gospel. The strongest message you will ever teach is the power of your example. And then he says, through the power of your example in the spoken word, he says, your tongue will be loosed, and you will be able to teach the gospel in far and distant nations. And then he says, through the power of your example and the spoken word, you will be a great tool in the hand of the Lord in teaching the gospel to many. So this whole paragraph about an example, I'm like, well, what's a better example than to go to prison unjustly and then go teach the gospel?
Ruby Franke, the former YouTuber turned convicted felon, now serving prison time for abusing her children in the name of religion. Franke documented it all in a journal, and we have the disturbing details in her own words. Thanks for joining me for Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. If you thought that the abuse that Ruby Franke's children suffered was bad, I can assure you it's much, much worse than anything that you imagined. Franke documented the abuse and justified it by claiming her children have Satan within them and that demons have visited them. The journal starts in May of 2023 with a note stating that Jody Hildebrandt received a blessing from a temple president. What that blessing was and what it pertains to is somewhat unclear. In late June, Franke wrote that her son refused to do wall sits. He says he is done. The following day, Franke wrote that the boy is to stay outside, sleep outside, only to come in to use the bathroom and shower. After that, several pages are black. They're redacted, so there are
Wall sits, I'm assuming, is where you have your back up against the wall and then kind of squat down to where your legs are bent and your thighs are kind of like parallel to the ground. And it is pretty brutal after some period of time.
pages and pages of information that we're not seeing. The journal picks up in July as Ruby Franke's journal details the horror that her 12-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter endured over the next 3 months. I won't be using their names as they are the victims of horrific abuse. Franke wrote about her son.
I wonder if they will release the footage of Ruby and Jody in the cop car. My guess is that there was no, maybe Jody talked to the cops a little bit, but I doubt Ruby talked at all the whole way.
Turns 12 tomorrow. I never envisioned him still being 12 and pooping and peeing himself. Satanic choices leads one to become destitute, even in the most affluential homes.
I mean, that's just a telltale sign of stunted development due to abuse, and um, extreme anxiety and feeling unsafe in your environment. And she is attributing that to them being evil and then perpetuating more abuse on top of that.
Then the next day, on her son's birthday, Frankie wrote about her daughter and son being in so much deviant behavior, they won't control their bodily functions. They're both furious. Their selfish, sinful lifestyle is being intervened upon. I told R he emulates a snake. He slithers and sneaks around looking for opportunities when no one is watching, and then he scurries. If he wants to emulate the Savior, then he needs to be 100% obedient. Ruby Franke then said that her son lies all the time. He's a compulsive liar. This entire experience is a shock to my system. She wrote that her son has a cold, dead heart, and he's always been able to get what he wants. On July 14th, Frankie wrote that her daughter, quote, refuses to work, screams, has her hair shaved off. Frankie repeatedly shaved her daughter's hair when she didn't comply with her demands throughout the summer. The girl was
I remember having to get haircuts when I was a kid or a teenager as punishments, and I was by no means abused or anything, and I got like normal. I had like long kind of like skater boy hair, and it was so devastating to me to have to get my hair cut. I just can't imagine for a little girl having to have her head shaved as a punishment.
only 10. Can you imagine? You shave off your daughter's hair because she refused to work. And we don't know exactly what kind of work she was refusing to do, but we can only imagine given what we have learned about the abuse. This was just the beginning of the summer of hell for these kids. Frankie said she told her son that he needed to divulge everything, that he needed to pray and to fast. He's workable and calm for a bit, and then angry and defiant the next. The only consistent thing about R is that he lies. That's what Frankie wrote about her son. She followed up by writing that her son told her he would rather have a glass of water than have her as a mom. Ruby Franke then described July 11th of last year as a big day for evil. She sent her son to stand in the sun with a sun hat, but the boy's demons, she said, wanted to stand in the shade. So Frankie said she got a cactus poker to push the boy into the sun. Later, she poured mop water on him to cool him off. The children were forced to fast, but really it sounded more like they were being starved. They were continually told that they were lying and that they needed to repent. For exactly what? No one really knows. If you can engage a weak-minded soul in a physical activity of obedience, you can begin to break the bond of Satan made with the weak. Ruby Franke wrote that Jody Hildebrandt volunteered to help her with that. They planned to buy a ranch in Arizona where the children could do more hard work to rid themselves of Satan. At one point, Frankie wrote,
They 100% would have been dead if they hadn't been caught.
The kids need a good kick from a horse and a cactus to run into. There were times when Frankie and Hildebrandt placed Frankie's daughter in a closet and refused to give her water if she screamed. Quote, she screamed for another family, water, food, care, love. A manipulative ploy. You are loved. That's what Ruby Franke wrote about her 10-year-old daughter. The girl was also made to jump into a cactus. Frankie said her daughter was actually cuddling with it, calling it inhuman. In late July, Frankie wrote about her daughter, we put her in the closet to contemplate what to do. She screams much of the day. She doesn't get water if she screams. She refuses to eat. The next day, she wrote, Jody wakes from a dream. God lets her know that we have done everything we can to get her attention. They also forced the children to pull weeds from a cemetery for hours at a time and to pick up glass. Frankie's 12-year-old son was forced to jump on a mini trampoline for long periods of time and to balance on one foot. On August 27th, toward the end of the children's torturous captivity, Ruby Franke wrote about her son. Spent the 22nd through the 25th peeing and pooping. He is out of control. He is defiant, abusive, mean, willing to try anything that would grab his attention. I whipped him with a belt yesterday. E2. Franke then said her daughter peed all over Jody's garage floor, screamed at her, and lied to her. She is out of control.
How did you get the ropes on you?
3 days later, on August 30th, the children had reached their breaking point. The 12-year-old boy escaped from Hildebrandt's house and went to a neighbor for help. With me to discuss the horrific information in Ruby Franke's journal is somebody who's an expert in psychology and psychiatry. He is Dr. Daniel Bober. He's a forensic psychiatrist. Dr. Bober, you read through this just as I did. Your first thoughts on what you've read?
Absolutely horrific. Heavily redacted, but the details that are in there are very disturbing.
Why do you think it was so heavily redacted? I mean, we have pages and pages of black. I mean, we have black boxes, of course, but then we have pages full of black. Why would the law enforcement officials in the courts redact that information?
Maybe too personal, too disturbing, as if the rest isn't disturbing. It's just, yeah, maybe there were things in there that they just felt were too intimate to share. It's very hard to know.
I'm trying to imagine a world, I'm a mom. I'm trying to imagine a world in which I look at my children, ages 12 and 9 or 10, somewhere in that range, and I think to myself, Satan is within you, and in order to drive Satan out of you, my friend Jody here, she's going to volunteer to take you children, you young kids, to her house, and you're going to be starved. You're going to be forced to do physical labor, collecting weeds and glass and what have you from a cemetery for hours at a time, being poked with a cactus, held underwater, forced to stand out in the sun, because that is going to drive Satan out of you. Where is that coming from in Ruby Franke's mind?
Well, ironically, it actually happens to be the parents who are often the perpetrators with these victims of abuse. 1 in 7 children in the last year were abused, about 600,000 last year. And we know that the parents are most likely going to be the perpetrators. But in this particular case, clearly there was something that was not right with this woman, whether she had her own abuse or her own mental illness. I've never obviously examined her, so I cannot say. But there are certainly people that have what we call an authoritarian form of discipline that's based on coercion, control, sort of breaking the will of the child. But this takes it to a new level. So clearly there is some form of mental illness going on with this woman. We obviously don't know what it is. We don't know her background, her trauma, maybe her own maltreatment. But clearly this is not just a normal form of parenting.
This is going on with, or was going on, I should say, with the 12-year-old and the 10-year-old. I'm not going to use their names. They are victims of abuse. There were other children, but it was these 2 children were singled out. We know there are older children and then children younger. Can you think in your mind as to why these 2 children were singled out for this abuse? I mean, Ruby Franke is telling herself in these writings that she's, and I don't quite understand it, like why she thinks her children are so possessed. I have my own theories, but because of the redactions, I can't really get too deep into that. But she thinks they're being influenced by the devil. But why these 2 young kids, 12 and 10, why are they being singled out for this horrific abuse and maybe not the other kids?
Well,
I feel like it was an escalation after she got involved with Jody. I think that she already had these beliefs and was already acting on them. And then I think Jody reinforced and escalated these and then had much more severe tactics and ideas around these. And she just maybe wasn't around when the other kids were coming up.
The younger kids are the easiest targets. They're the most vulnerable. They're the ones that have the hardest time fighting back. But I think what this story tells us is something much larger in society, which is this whole concept of what I like to call the Facebook fallacy or the Instagram illusion is that people watched this mother. She became an overnight sensation. At one point, she had over 2 million followers. But it just goes to show you that everything you see, everything you hear, you have to question. You have to be skeptical. You have to be cynical, because all these people that are posting this stuff on social media, we develop this opinion of them, but we know that with people, you only get two things: what they show you and what you want to see. So this is a perfect example of how an image can be manipulated in society to make people believe that people are a certain way when nothing could be further from the truth.
And I don't, she did have a lot of followers, but I don't think anybody ever thought Ruby Franke was perfect, because I mean, people were raising concerns about this for a long time, saying this woman, the way she's treating her kids on YouTube and on TikTok or what have you, is not right. But that pales into comparison, and what is written in these documents and what Ruby Franke documented. Why on earth would somebody, in your opinion, document all of this abuse? It almost makes me think like she thought she was doing the right thing, but I don't understand how someone, in the name
Yeah, I fully believe that she believed all of this and believed that she was doing the right thing.
of God, could think that they were doing the right thing by having their children do things like carry heavy boxes upstairs and stand out in the sun and, as punishment, run up hills and, stay in a closet without food and call it fasting. I just don't get it.
Yeah, well, maybe it was something that she was taking to a delusional extreme, which is why she made no attempt to conceal it and, in fact, document it. I think it's very important what you're saying. She didn't really try to hide it, and people had expressed concerns for a long time. We're not just talking about the people that were watching her YouTube, but the people that lived close by were telling police for years that there's something going on. So I wonder what the role of law enforcement is in all of this, because it feels like they kind of dropped the ball. They didn't respond to all these pleas for help. And this is not the only time that we know of that law enforcement kind of didn't really follow through on something. They obviously have a tough job, and they're overworked and they're underpaid and they're outgunned. But in this particular case, if calls were made to 911 and there was no follow through, I think this went on a lot longer than it needed to.
Much longer. I mean, this begins in May of 2023. The kids escape the house in late August. This journal ends on August 27th. I mean, she details the whole summer. The whole summer is in this 60 pages of documents. And she talks about, these kids, being ungrateful. They're kids. I mean, they're like 12-year-old and 10-year-old kids. They're probably just doing things that children do.
Right.
And
Well,
they're being
I'm also a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I can tell you that I have this conversation with parents all the time. They say, well, how do I discipline my child? It's the difference between taking away something they want and something that they need. If you're not letting them play with their toys, that's one thing. But if you're depriving them of a meal, of nutrition, that is abuse.
Yeah, I've never heard of fasting for a child. Maybe if you're getting blood work done, but I mean, giving the child, just like lentils and
Yeah,
grilled
there's really no
cheese and things
legitimate
like
medical
that.
reason for that. Right.
Yeah, it's disgusting. There were some other things in here too. She's talking about this 12-year-old, how he's continuing to, he's defecating himself and wetting himself. There are some kids I know that take a really long time to be able, like there's something going on with the brain. It's not communicating with the bladder. She's talking about him wetting himself and defecating himself a lot. There are some kids just, especially boys, overnight, they just won't wake up to go to the bathroom.
I mean, that's possible, but also I feel like he was just in a constant state of anxiety, stress, fear. His development was likely stunted.
Bathroom and stuff like that. I don't know if that was part of this, but she's talking about how disgusting he is because he's defecating, he's pooping himself and peeing himself. I mean, it could be a reaction to the abuse he's enduring.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. We know that kids very often are nonverbal and they can't talk about their feelings, so they will express their feelings as sometimes a change in bowel or bladder habits. That can be a sign of trauma. That can be a sign of abuse. So you're right on target.
There's also a humiliation aspect of this that I find so disturbing. The little girl, they're saying basically, we're going to shave your head. Ruby keeps telling her, I'm going to shave your head. If you make any faces at me, I will shave your hair off. And she did that.
Yeah, this little girl here, her head was shaved when they found her, and it took her 4 hours to feel safe enough to get off this floor and come out of this room.
Several times throughout these documents. And that to me, it's like you're a girl. And a lot of girls, not all, but a lot of girls have longer hair. And
That's part of their identity.
It's what makes us
a
who
girl.
we are.
Right.
Makes me a girl, right? Makes me
Right.
a girl. When I was a kid, I always had long hair. I've got longer hair now as an adult.
Right.
And that to me was like she was just trying to shame her and humiliate her along with the physical abuse.
Absolutely. Another form of physical and emotional abuse, shaming them, depriving them of something that's part of their identity, humiliation, all part of the abuse.
And I know I'm asking you to speculate here. What kind of mental illness could Ruby Franke suffer from?
So it could be some form of severe trauma, possibly dissociation. It could be psychosis, that she's literally out of touch with reality. Maybe even drug or alcohol use. We just don't know. It would be pure speculation to say. And if the fact that she didn't try to conceal it and she documented it and she basically handed the prosecution their case, makes me think that maybe she wasn't completely in touch with reality, but I wouldn't know unless I spoke with her and I looked at her own documents and records.
There was another disturbing aspect of this. I mean, the disturbing aspects go on and on. I don't know what it just gets worse and worse, but they were going to buy property, Jody and Ruby, according to this diary, and they were going to buy property in Arizona and move the kids out there so they could continue, because whatever they were doing in Utah was not suitable enough. So it needed to be much harder. The work had to be harder. That's the only way you become obedient and compliant and that you resist Satan. So they're going to move them out to a ranch in Arizona. My God, I fear for what could have happened to these kids had the boy not escaped and gone for help. They could have died.
Yeah, well, they would have been even more cut off from anyone that could have helped them, more isolated. As horrific as it is, it could have even been more horrific.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for these children to get through this? I mean, intensive therapy, obviously, but what will it take? Will they ever be able to recover from this and get stronger from enduring this? I mean, I know it's hard for you to say that having not met them, but I just can't even imagine these poor kids, what they've gone through and what they will continue to go through.
We know that victims of abuse have much higher rates of depression, of anxiety, of insomnia, of all sorts of mental illness, post-traumatic stress that they will probably have to deal with for years. It probably will take years of therapy, years of treatment for them to develop any kind of trusting relationship with another human being.
Well, let's hope that they're able to somehow get to a point where they can flourish and recover to some degree. It's going to be a process and take a long time.
Most important
Ruby
thing is that
Franke
they're away from these people is the most important first step.
Most definitely, and they are where they belong.
All right. That's enough for tonight. I really hope that they spend the rest of their lives in jail, Ruby and Jody. I hope that the father, Kevin, does not get the kids. I hope they get somewhere where they can be loved, where they can be safe, where they can heal. I hope that they have a better life. Kids are very resilient. They're very resilient. But this is going to be with them for the rest of their lives. And hopefully it can make us as a society more aware of the way children are treated online, the way they're exploited on YouTube, on social media, the ways in which religion can be damaging to children, and the ways in which law enforcement and child protective services often overlook cases like this or don't get involved until it's too late. So yeah, thank you for everybody who watched. I'm going to go try and watch something fun and lighthearted and get in a better mood. But I think it was important to go through that and to witness that and be aware of it. Have a good night, everybody.